I love the state of North Carolina. I believe it's a beautiful state, and I would love to stay here if I could get the type of job that I would desire. However, it's not the state that I don't like. It's the practices of some of the people in the state of North Carolina.
I have a great love for the state of North Carolina. I've lived here for 23 years and I love the place. And I would much rather stay in the state of North Carolina and work. But things being the way they are, it's impossible. I find myself sometimes getting so disturbed about the whole situation. I become so emotional that I think sometimes it might be better that I did leave the state.
I love the state, really. It's my home state, and not only that, my parents are here. I'm sorry to say that I have 7 brothers and sisters who are outside the state of North Carolina, but my parents are here, and because they are here, I'd like to be close by.
If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning, I'd hammer in the evening, all over this land. I'd hammer on danger, I'd hammer on warning, I'd hammer on the door between my brothers and my sisters.
For Negro graduates, the years ahead seem full of uncertainty. During the 1960s, North Carolina Negroes have demonstrated against the lack of opportunity. Beyond school and college, they foresee an economic blind alley, the need to look outside the state for good salaries and employment. They protest the average Negro family income of $1,900 per year, less than half that of the whites. Teachers know the problem well. They ask, how is it that North Carolina invests money and energy in her Negro students and then denies them prosperity? North Carolina's governor has agreed that the minority, 1/4 the people of the state, rightfully should have the guarantee of economic opportunity. Schooling is part of the answer. Training, sufficient and suitable to the needs of the time. And after that, a fair and equal chance for decent jobs and salaries. The governor has challenged the students to turn their protests into a genuine dialogue with the whole community. Part of their response is this minority report, reviewing Negro experience and aspirations. Today, students at Greensboro's Agricultural and Technical College question the Negro's role in the economy of North Carolina.
And I enrolled at A&T in September 1960. And I have spent, well, in June, I will have spent 4 years at A&T.
You will graduate then this June.
Yes, I hope to graduate with a BS in mathematics.
I am presently pursuing a major in engineering mathematics at the Agricultural and Technical College of North Carolina. I have been by the Placement Bureau on campus, and we've received a number of interviewers out of the state that are looking for prospective engineers, and I am looking into some of these.
When I leave A&T, I expect to go to New York City to work.
To New York City?
Yes.
Have you already located a job there?
Not definitely. However, I am on the list for junior bacteriologist. Now, this is not confirmed, but it is a possibility.
I am a mathematics major, and I am pursuing an educational degree. However, I have not exactly decided whether I'm going to teach or not. I do not think at present that, as I said before, I would like to teach in the state because of the discriminatory practices. However, I do plan to look into the job opportunities that may be opening up soon.
I'm not for certain whether I would stay here or leave, but I would have difficulty in deciding. I know that there are discriminatory practices elsewhere. I'm not going to say that there aren't. However, here in North Carolina, as well as in some of the other southern states, they're more evident than in maybe the northern states or the the western states. So because of that, I would have some difficulty in deciding whether or not to stay in North Carolina, even though it's my homeland and even though I have a great love for it.
I am not actually seeking employment in the state of North Carolina for a number of reasons. Now, there have been just a few firms from the state that are seeking engineers from the college, and but their offers are not as lucrative as the ones from out of the state. And it would be only a sensible move to make if I am thinking in terms of financial gain to go out of the state.
I am not on a professional curriculum. I am in teacher education.
Teacher education.
However, I would like to do professional work. I am getting a teaching certificate, however, to stay on the safe side, so to say.
What do you mean to stay on the safe side?
Well, I figure that I'm not wasting my time by getting a teaching certificate. I would like to go into the field of teaching for maybe 1 year, and if I feel that this is not the work for me, then I can go into the laboratory, or vice versa.
At A&T, most of the persons who are seeking graduates come from out of the state of North Carolina.
I think about 90% of the students that have pursued engineering majors leave the state because of the number of firms that are seeking prospective employees are very limited.
I am not staying here for two main reasons. Number one, there isn't enough work here except in the field of teacher education. Number two, the salary is not a beautiful one. In New York, I feel that I'll have more advantages, and more advantages for salary. I'll have more say-so over the type of salary that I'll receive, I think.
About 90% of the engineers go out of the state of North Carolina. About 90% of the nursing students, approximately 90% of the professional biology majors go out of the state to work. About 20% of the agricultural majors, about 43% of the English majors, I believe, go out of the state. About 27% of the math majors go out of the state. And I may say that those who do work in the state of North Carolina are in the teaching profession.
I have definite reasons for going to New York. However, one reason is to get some experience working away from home.
Suppose you were to look for work in the field of professional biology research in the state of North Carolina. Would you encounter any difficulties?
I definitely feel that I will, because so far I have not come in contact with that many people working in the field of professional biology other than in the classroom. The only other places I know would be in a hospital, and there are not that many vacancies in hospitals.
In going to a place to apply for work, what kind of emotional reaction would you have?
In the deep South, or maybe even in North Carolina, I think I would be scared to death.
Would you?
In cities where the segregation problem is, well, less evident, I think I would feel freer.
Well, I think, first of all, I would have a feeling that I wasn't accepted. And I would always be going around trying to prove myself instead of really doing a good job at the work I should be doing. And I think this is the case with a lot of Negroes. They go into these jobs that have just opened up, and they find themselves really trying to prove that they can produce and worrying about how John Doe is accepting him as a person. Because I think one sociological setting, a social setting, has to be conducive to good production. One has to be in a setting whereby he can produce at his capacity.
Even if I wanted to teach, I don't think I would teach in the state of North Carolina. This is because I feel that North Carolina teachers, Negro teachers, are discriminated against because of their race. I feel that by going to another state, I will be able to get a higher salary. If I do not plan to go into teaching as a mathematician in industry or government, I would definitely not be able to get the kind of job that I would want in this state.
I feel that North Carolina is definitely trying to overcome its problems as far as employment is concerned, but not at a fast enough pace, because we have more people graduating each year and fewer people are employed, and then that makes for the fact that most of them go out of state to work.
Well, I have some very strong feelings about this sort of thing. Now, I don't think a person's ability should be judged by the color of his skin. This would not necessarily mean that his mental capacity is such that he is inferior.
To get qualified people, I feel that it requires definite searching for the type person you want to fill your job. I don't think it should be because of color. I think it should be because of ability only and your interest in the particular field that you are pursuing your work.
I think I have some contributions to make to the state. I think that the state needs good engineers without regard to race, creed, or color. And I do definitely think that I could do something in my field.
In the state of North Carolina, even if Negro graduates are employed by firms and industry or in teaching, they are not given the same opportunities for advancement that the whites are given. So Negro graduates go out of the state so that they may get an adequate salary and advance economically. Not very many people from industry come to North Carolina to secure students who are graduating. Now, the opportunities for teaching in the state are fairly good for mathematics majors. In fact, I believe almost all of the mathematics majors who have remained in the state of North Carolina are now teaching in Negro public schools and Negro or predominantly Negro colleges and universities.
Well, teaching is not a very beautiful profession to me. For one reason, the opportunities for advancement in teaching are not as varied as those in engineering. And I don't want to be satisfied with just staying in one position too long without any noticeable advancement.
Some of the graduates of North Carolina who have gone to northern states to work have been transferred back to North Carolina to work in the same industries which they could have gotten a job in as soon as they graduated from college. However, evidently the persons in the firm in North Carolina did not realize or did not want to realize and accept the potential of the Negro college graduate. And until they went to a northern state and showed that they could assume the responsibilities and that they could produce, they were not given the opportunities for employment. They were later transferred back to the state.
Procter & Gamble had a representative on the campus in January, and they invited me up for an interview with some of their top company officials. I had a wonderful time. The trip was expense-free for me, and they'd like for me to work mainly in statistics, and there is some programming involved.
We have unqualified Negroes and we have unqualified whites. I think that when a man goes into a place to secure a job or to, in quest of a job, he should be graded primarily on his ability to do this job.
I think I have a very nice offer from General Dynamics out in San Diego, California. However, I haven't decided whether or not I will take it.
There are 300,000 people that have left the state in the last 10 years. 100,000 of these people were Negroes. And this represents a great loss to the state. In fact, it represents somewhere near $2 billion.
The state pays about $6,000 per student, in-state student, for his education. And if the student leaves the state, then this would be nothing but a loss to the state if he goes out and finds employment elsewhere.
We have students who leave the state of North Carolina in the field of engineering who contribute a great deal. And this represents a loss. It represents a loss in many respects. You could even go so far as to say in tax, things like this. A man making $6,000, this represents money lost in tax. Man buys a license plate for his car, even a little insignificant thing as this. When you start talking about 100,000 people, this represents a great deal of money.
The state of North Carolina should accept and use not only the natural resources of the state, but all of the human resources of the state, regardless of race, creed, or color.
We have people with master's degrees driving buses. We have people with BS degrees as postmasters and even master's degrees. And I don't think it takes a master's degree to do this. I would think that some of these people that are out of jobs who could very well drive a bus or who could very well be a postmaster or delivery man could do this job, and you could have these people with these master's degrees who have some real contribution to make to the state of North Carolina do so. But because of the segregated society that we live in, these people are pushed into the background. They find it very hard to find a job, and in many cases, a great deal of these people can't leave the state in order to secure jobs.
Many times, I have found that companies hire Negroes just to put them in a, so to speak, a showcase, to say that we have one, and they put him in a position whereby he goes out to meet people. And I've been asked to serve in these same positions, whereby we're going to show the world that, well, we do hire Negroes, but I think that the fact still remains that somewhere pressure has been put on these companies.
I don't really think they mean business. I think this is a face-saving device. They tell you that if you are qualified, we will hire you. But then when you start talking about qualifications, 9 times out of 10, the Negro takes an entirely different exam from the other people. For an example, I've heard of young ladies finishing at A&T College as typists, going to these places to secure jobs and to find out that they really don't qualify. As far as the employer is concerned, Negroes feel that what's the use of my getting an education? I can't do anything with it. What's the use of my going and spending $3,000 or $4,000 to get an education and then have to go back home and wash dishes or sweep streets or drive a bus? I don't think it takes a college education for this, and I think many Negroes think this way. It would be to no avail, really, some think, to get an education. Why get an education? Spend all this time, 4 years of your life wasted, you might say, to get an education when you really can't find a job when you finish it.
Out of about at least 25 interviews, I haven't been interviewed by a single company from North Carolina.
From the state of North Carolina?
That's right.
You may have a branch of one industry in New York or Philadelphia or say, Ohio, and you may have another branch in North Carolina, Virginia, or South Carolina. However, the different branches of this same industry have different practices in the different states. And I feel that there should be some continuity of hiring practices since it is part of the same industry.
I had one student to tell me that he knew of a friend of his who had a job In fact, he was working in the government in North Carolina, and he didn't get any further than the GS-9 position. So he went to a northern state because he knew that he deserved a promotion, and he felt that he could get one in a northern state. So he went to the northern state, and within a few months, he had the rating that he deserved, so he came back to the state.
I think if we're going to really rid ourselves of the problem of poverty and all these things, I think we have to do away with the segregated society. Recently, I think Governor Sanford has initiated a program on war on poverty in the state of North Carolina. And I think this is a good thing. To me, it means that we have some people in the state of North Carolina who realize that the problem isn't only education.
I think that one thing that the Negro educators need to do is to make sure that the students that they have the responsibility of educating are adequately prepared to meet the demands of today's world.
Well, it has been said that the Negro College in the South does not meet the required standards by some of the hiring firms. And if this is true, then I will be handicapped.
I think that what we really have to do is to try to devise some kind of program that will involve all of the people in the state of North Carolina in a concerted effort to rid the state of segregation. Because I really think that this is the root to the whole problem. I think that if I was in authority whereby I could influence people to do certain things, I would try to influence employers to hire on one's ability to produce. And I think very seriously I would try to influence my constituents to try to come up with some kind of workable solution to the problem, because I don't think this problem has really been attacked the way it should be. First of all, I think that many people who say that they are interested in the problem merely try to find loopholes to more or less slow the process down instead of really using their authority to influence things whereby we could really get rid of this thing, because I think it's really killing the image of the state of North Carolina. It's killing, and for that matter, if you want to go on a national basis or international basis, I think it's killing the whole outlook that every country has about this country.
When the foreigner gets here, then his conception changes immediately. When he is able to see these things face to face, to come in contact with them, then he knows what is going on. But when a person goes overseas to talk about what is happening in the United States, I think he's painting a pretty picture.
It's merely because people aren't willing to accept another person who is capable of doing a good job without bringing in this colored line. And I think we have to get rid of this thing of colored lines. We have authority. I think we should use it. And this reminds me of the city that I'm attending school in right now at the present time. They have a Human Relations Committee. The Human Relations Committee really has no power. It can't do anything. All it can do is sit down and really philosophize on the question of the real problem. They have no real legislative power that they could enact if they would.
We must remember that protests and demonstrations are not only, we didn't participate in these activities just to have the opportunity to eat, or the right to eat in the same dining hall as the non-Negro population. We didn't carry out these protests because we wanted to ride on a particular place in the bus, especially. But I think they were aimed at the whole social and economic structure of our nation.
I think one thing that brought this out, and it struck painfully close to the American people, was the March on Washington. For the first time, I think that those people that were in the civil rights movement, for that matter, found out that they had many people that were with them.
We're striving for fair employment, fair housing, fair everything, so to say. We want a democracy. All right, then what we're doing, we feel is good. We have our reasons to feel that it is good. If we must demonstrate to get a good job, then demonstrate. I think we have proven the fact that we can go into the streets and demonstrate without violence. I don't think that this is a thing that should be looked down upon.
I think we have to start from the bottom and go to the top. Every citizen within the state of North Carolina must become involved in this thing of trying to rid the state of its segregated policies. I think if everybody becomes involved in this problem, I think the sooner we will get rid of it. And I think this is the only way that we can get rid of it, that everybody sit down and really try to understand the problem and do something about it and stop sitting around philosophizing about the problem.
It's the bell of